What's up, everybody? Welcome in and happy Monday. We've got some great Paladins Console League action for you here today. Of course, I'm Dolson. To start off the day with me, none other than Kresnik. Kresnik, great set of games on the slate today. Honestly, a lot of interesting matchups last week. Lots of things shifting around, and then our first matchup of the day, no different. We got two 2-0 teams fighting for that top spot.
Yeah, I mean, last season with Ehrenhammer not really being able to compete, I think, at that level, now if they want to come back and prove themselves against Flashpoint, this split not taking a map, I think, the last split, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
So yeah, they really want to fight back. I mean, they're both looking good right now, but they got to really prove themselves, I think, in this game.
Yeah, we'll see the standings that support the stats that I threw out. Hopefully they support the stats. They do. 2-0-6 for Flashpoint. 2 3-0 matches for them. Ehrenhammer only dropping 1 to Aerial Arise. So, I mean, on paper, this is a very important matchup. You'd, of course, give it to Flashpoint because, you know, going into last split, of course, the stat that we all love to look at, they only dropped 2 maps, both of them being to Stush. 3-0'd the other teams that they played against. Ehrenhammer being one of them throughout the entirety of the last split. So, again, on paper, this is a matchup I think that you say that Flashpoint, very tried and true, very experienced. Ehrenhammer, though, I think surprising some people at 2-0-5, only dropping 1 map up to this point. They could start to build some momentum and maybe surprise some people today. Yeah,
I mean, they're able to come back from a pretty poor, I would say, last split.
Yeah.
I mean, they went have right here 4-12. It looks like against Aerial Arise before, and now they've beaten them pretty soundly. So I'm pretty excited to see how this newly kind of revitalized Ehrenhammer roster looks against them.
Yeah, I still can't stray away, I don't think, from Flashpoint. I mean, Legacy, Storm Avatar, Prosper Logic, Good Lad, Skeppy, Op being a sub on their side as well. I mean, that's about as tried and true as you can get. We've actually had to start, like, challenging ourselves in some of the post-game recaps to, like, not say a specific player's name to avoid gassing them up too much. But if they play the way they do today, they should come out with the win. But let's take a look at the maps we're not allowed to play on and see what these two teams have gotten rid of. Of course, it's going to be Ice Mines and Bright Marsh. Interestingly enough, Ice Mines taken away by Flashpoint. And then Frog Isle and Stonekeep both gone here. Does Ice Mines surprise you at all to see banned out?
Not really. I mean, if they really think Ehrenhammer is looking a lot better this split, then getting rid of that map that can come down to 1 fight, it's smart. It's kind of like if you just don't want it to potentially go either way, it's a safe ban.
Sure, absolutely. Well, playing very safe. Well, let's jump right into it and see where we're going to do battle in game number 1. Looks like Serpent Beach. This is a map that, I mean, Ice Mines, you're right. I mean, it kind of comes down to the wire, but Serpent Beach, there's got to be a whole highlight reel of Flashpoint plays just from Serpent Beach alone. This is a map they will be very, very comfortable on as we jump right into picks and bans.
That's mostly because it's a map that everybody plays.
That's true. I guess that's fair.
It is kind of, you could probably do that for almost any team because it is so like, it's just standard. And that's strange to me personally because I think that it's a map that the vertical play is so different from most other maps, and I think it's almost as hard to cap on sometimes as Ice.
Sure.
You have ways that you can kind of break that stalemate by coming around the side through the Oasis, but it's just, it really does come down to that last point fight so often.
No, it's totally fair, and you're right. There's so many offenses that get stalled out on defense. A convincing point cap just doesn't move anywhere once that payload comes out. But I have to see which way it goes here. Tyra Genos, Atlas, Talus all banned out. Interestingly enough, Drogos is the first pick here for Ehrenhammer. We saw a little bit of Kinessa, I think. A little bit meaning one, literally
that
one
counts.
game.
That is a little bit.
It is a little bit on Serpent Beach. Victor, of course, a tried and true lock there for Flashpoint. You're going to have to, you know, look at these as console drafts for what they are. They pick the Drogos, the Victor, a lot of that very early on. Makoa gets through a good bit of the time here. It's still interesting to me, though, that Drogos is the first pick off of the board.
Yeah, I find that kind of interesting, too, especially against these teams that high prioritize these hit scan DPSs. So a lot of pressure will be going on to this Drogos, but, I mean, I see the concept of what they want to do. They can kind of hide him up top, get some free spam. You can get that early salvo to get that early advantage if they want to play aggressive, and Fury actually plays into that too. Fury is definitely the aggressive healer with that inflame, letting you just walk straight in if you hit your shots.
Well, if it isn't good enough that you give Flashpoint Victor, you now have that to deal with the Drogos Leon as well.
I would not want to play Drogos into
both
Victor
of them.
Leon.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Well, you have to. I mean, you first pick it, I guess
you don't have a choice at this point.
I mean, you'd imagine that would be Prosper on the Victor, Skeppy on the Leon. but in reality, both of them could probably play either, just to a very similar level. Makoa, Grover, the other two that Flashpoint have on their lineup as well, maybe trying to roll together as one big unit. And then Ehrenhammer, Drogos, and Eevee, excuse me, are going to be their two blasters. Actually, Maeve looking for a little triple DPS.
Oh, I didn't know that Navi went down to the console league, but it's...
yeah, I guess.
I'm glad to see it, because that means this is going to be one hell of a game. But wow, Makoa Grover, that makes the Drogos pick a little bit better, I think.
Sure.
Because I mean, you can punch the Makoa during his Ancient Rage, get rid of that health pool, and if they're going to be clumped to heal on the Grover, they're going to be eating more damage from fire space and from that splash damage than they would be otherwise.
Well, you got triple DPS, but they're all flank/blasters.
Yeah.
On the opposite side, you have two of the most potent direct damage dealers that you can get. It's going to be a fun one. If history has anything to say about it, Flashpoint wins this one convincingly. But to find out if that happens, we'll go down to your casters.
Welcome in, guys, to Game 1. Here we go, already on Serpent Beach.
I have no idea which one of these drafts I like more. Like, when it comes to console league and pure console league, Flashpoint have everything down packed. Like, that is probably a dream lineup. The only thing they could have had more that they would have preferred is the Talus or Vivian, but if you can't get those, I think Victor, Leon are going to be right next on your list. But I really like where Ehrenhammer are going. This Drogos is going to have to blow me away to convince me that first picking Drogos is worth it, but I mean, it's 3 champions in the Eevee, the Maeve, and the Drogos that admittedly, throughout the past, don't have as much play on console. They're a little harder to pull off, and they're hard countered by what's easy to pull off, right? That Flashpoint have. This could be really great, or it could be really bad for Ehrenhammer.
Right, we already see that Prosper knows exactly where to be. He was already getting that early presence off onto Drogos, trying to see if he can get anything going. The Eevee's already in the back line. Victor looking super low. Prosper Logic doing his best to get rid of these pesky flies, I guess is what we should say, in terms of this Eevee and the Maeve. They're doing a good job, actually, of putting the pressure onto these hit scans.
What I really like that Flashpoint are doing, though, is that of course, they're going to stay grouped up because of the Grover, but they're keeping Victor and Leon together because they recognize the damage output Victor has is important to keep him alive. You need Skeppy here, and Leon is the anti-flank. As long as you keep Leon with the Victor, you're a little more likely to stop the Maeve, the Eevee, from being able to find a kill onto him.
Right, exactly, but they don't have any trouble finding the kill, at least onto Maeve from Grover. They do actually get the first blood of this game, 48% onto the point for Flashpoint, while Prosper Logic and the rest of them are trying to push up as best as they can to make sure they get a little bit of heavy zone going off. Prosper eating a lot of damage from those rockets in general, but he has to back off just a little bit, but not before he finds a kill onto the Eevee.
Couple of good shots right here from Drogos. Could start to turn things around, but it's 93% right now for Flashpoint. They're still fighting over the objective right now, but I mean, they have 2 front lines. They're pretty comfortable down there.
Yeah, they definitely are. Drogos being super low as well. They do find the kill onto the Barret. Drogos probably going to be the next one there, and he is. He just so happens to be in Victor's line of sights. Nicely done from nicely done from Flashpoint. In general, they are pushing them back a little bit. Just a little bit harder right now. Like Aaron's trying to find some room to breathe in terms of this fight.
It's just one of those things. I love how adventurous Ehrenhammer are. I love this draft. And I genuinely think if you're in the minor league right now, this is a draft you could see on Serpent Beach, and it would win a game. But it's just one of those things when you look at where you're playing, who you're up against, right? That's always going to come into the factor. And Flashpoint get 2 of their top picks for their first 2. And as of right now, you've slowed them down. I think this is definitely not as fast as Flashpoint would have liked it, but that, I believe, is one of the first kills, if not the first kill you got as Ehrenhammer. So you're really trying to kind of dig yourselves out of a hole here. Yeah, Eric actually finding that first kill onto them. Yeah, you were right. That is the first kill that Ehrenhammer actually managed to get while Flashpoint's pretty much not necessarily steamrolling them, but they are being extremely aggressive and they know when to go in, when to push their advantage. They're holding this small room right here to prevent them from actually flanking. They're just trying to figure out the best way to play this. The best thing that they have going for them on Ehrenhammer, though, is that they have full high ground control. There is literally no one except for Grover who can get up onto the high ground. And Nara can if she's gone for a little bit of summit, but for the most part, you're going to be looking at them not being able to get up there unless they can get a nice, wide open flank route like through there. If Good Lad lives there, gets a kill, maybe one of the DPS can run up behind him and use the ramp.
Yeah, a couple kills for Barrick are going to allow at least Ehrenhammer to actually push forward. But we see that we have a pause here just for a brief second. Yeah, it just seemed like there was a pause on pause going. But regardless of the fact, Ehrenhammer are doing a pretty good job in general of just keeping the, not necessarily keeping the pressure going, but they found what they need. They got that double kill with Barrick, and now they're able to actually push forward as best as they possibly can.
And it's just one of those things, like for Ehrenhammer, it's where is this Eevee going, where is this Maeve going, and can they find their targets? Again, with Leon and Victor just moving together all the time, Victor can look at the point, Leon can look for literally anybody else, and you have a savior and then the guy dealing damage. So it's going to be that trade-off. If you can get rid of Leon or if you can get rid of Victor, that duo doesn't work as well anymore. Maybe you can start finding those picks, but you need probably both flanks to go for them at the beginning in order to make that work.
Right, exactly. You mentioned a good point as well. Just the sheer fact that both the Victor and the Leon are staying together makes it really, really hard for them to try and be able to pick off those individuals, especially since you have a Grover. The team's going to be grouped up regardless, so you're actually providing a lot of cover for just both of them, both the hit scans in general. Ehrenhammer, all 5 ultimates online, 3 ultimates online for Flashpoint for right now, but it's nothing too crazy yet.
And that's where, honestly, with how grouped they are, this is actually probably where we'll see Drogo start to shine a little more, because they're going to be even more grouped on the push. But the biggest problem really has been that you first pick this Grover, and it's just not so far blowing anything out of the water, not making anything too impressive. Right now it's getting a lot of little splash damage, kind of setting them up, and it's been clean kills, but they're going on to the Eevee.
Oh yeah, triple kill already for Faded. Doesn't find the 4th, but his team doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter at all. They do manage to find the kill on the Barrick. They get the 4th kill for them, pushing Flashpoint all the way back. 10 seconds left onto the clock. I don't know if they're going to be able to make this. No ultimates used at all, either from anyone on their team yet. They're actually holding on to him for next round.
It's a very, very solid play from Ehrenhammer, and honestly a very solid call. They aren't going to be able to get any overtime, so you're safe, right? You're set.
Exactly.
And you're in such a clean position. I mean, one of the things that you had Kresnik mentioning on the desk, right, was that if Goodlad pops that Ancient Rage, he's still susceptible to Dragon Punch. That's 10,000 health immediately off the board. And so if you can manage to pull that out, if you can either, as the Drogos yourself, even though you're 1 and 3, or if Faded or if Ernest can go through and just get that damage needed to make him ult, all of a sudden it becomes a little bit more easy, I guess, for you. You just get rid of that. Otherwise, you have a great target to not be on the Inara. Also, going to be noted that he's subbing in for the game. Always been a notable player and always been really, really solid, but just, I think, worth recognizing that he's probably someone you could pick on. Right,
exactly. I wonder if there's ever a situation in which he would, like, in which Drogos would use the Dragon Punch unwarranted from the Ancient Rage. We do see that the Furia is using Inflame along with the Midnight to make sure that they cover their line of sight going into the back. The Eevee and Maeve just immediately started going in. The rest of Ehrenhammer, one of them on the point, the rest of them are pushing to try and cause this aggression, trying to see if they can get anything, but unfortunately, since 2 of them fall, it's going to force them to back off with a barrage incoming. Skeppy finds not only a double kill, but that will be 4 individuals that are down on Ehrenhammer from Flashpoint. Nice push and nice aggression and awareness from Flashpoint.
It was really well played from Ehrenhammer as well. Again, like that amount of aggression where they placed it, I think was right. And then I think it got a little bit too much, right? They saw what they had, and then they bit off a little more than they could chew, and it just zoned them out for it. And they kept on to, I think, the 2 best ults for Flashpoint, Barrage to be able to retake the point, and they still have the Ancient Rage. They haven't had to force that out of the Makoa.
Right, exactly. Here you go, Faded actually with the shots on the flank, along with the Barrick. The Dragon Punch ends up coming through right before the Ancient Rage really is even used. Actually just takes out Goodlad and tries to get any sort of aggression, but since Flashpoint pretty much have already gotten the point, begs to differ of whether that Dragon Punch was actually used in a way that can actually help Ehrenhammer recover in any way, shape, or form. Seismic Crash comes through, Skeppy finds the kill, and that looks like Flashpoint just going to keep on pushing.
It definitely felt like a smoke if you got a moment, but then kind of followed up by the, well, you're 2 seconds too late anyway, so it's like, yeah, you got the kill, but did you need it? Like, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
He's still going to be able to charge it up pretty quickly in the next 2 minutes. They're just going to hope that, well, within the next 2 minutes, they don't need it, right? They don't need to stop them. The problem is that you got that point kill right onto the tank, and normally that's a cool, we're going to burn 45 seconds at the beginning of the timer. They didn't. In the only minute it's been going, they've already gotten 75% of the way for Flashpoint, and they don't seem to be slowing down.
Yeah, the Whirlwind comes through. Barrick does go down. pumping out that healing from Grover. We see that the Maeve is up on the bridge, trying to just rain some daggers down onto the point, onto the payload, trying to keep at least them off of it, or at least get some damage at all onto it, but it's not going to be enough with Flashpoint netting that point for them, score currently being 3-1.
I really like the way I like watching Skeppy. I like watching Prosper. I like watching Flashpoint, I guess is really just the best way to word it, where it's just fun to see how they approach these fights and how they kind of make everyone second guess and then maybe even triple guess what they're trying to do, right? What Ehrenhammer did the first round was perfect for this team as a defense, and they just weren't able to hold that position. They got super aggressive. They popped the Whirlwind in the best spot possible for Flashpoint to keep them rolling, get Skeppy onto the high ground, and then you have two choices. Do you go for the guys that are on the high ground, or do you try to contest the point? No matter what, you're not really in a winning fight.
But we have to see if Ehrenhammer can bring out really just anything to try and stop Flashpoint right now, being up at least 2 points on them. They have to try and see if they can at least cap it before Flashpoint can end up closing this game out. The fight's just beginning with them once again holding high ground. Barrett getting a lot of damage. The Eevee is in the back line, blinks down to try and get Victor. She does find the kill on the Skeppy, and the Midnight goes through to try and get things started.
Honestly, that might be just enough to be able to give them the lead they need.
Right.
They get 2 kills, Victor being the first one, but they also have the comeback mechanic enabled. There's going to be a Dragon Punch to be able to come through. Like, you're opening up the doors for your team to find success. You just have to keep the ball rolling.
Right, exactly. There's the ice block. Nice awareness from the Eevee. Blinks in, blinks back out too. Nice placement of the blink. She actually manages to get the kill onto Prosper Logic, onto the Leon, to force her, well, to really just not only kill her, but delay and pretty much stagger their recovery as Flashpoint to try and see if they can get anything started. And it seems like Ehrenhammer might actually cap this point.
It's going to be 85% right now. You're going to at least get a touch, so there should be some overtime. Barrage is going to be dropped as well. The damage is going to be coming through from Flashpoint here, and it's looking good so far.
Yeah, it is. The healing came through on the side of Grover as well. Very, very good dome shield from Barrick as well. I agree, to keep them off of the point and zone them out just a little bit more. With Nara being so low, she can barely even try to contest. Grover trying to do as much healing as he possibly can, but Ehrenhammer, man, they're just pretty much pumping out these kills, just killing them one after the next. Flashpoint trying their best to stall it out, but it doesn't work.
It's going to be Ehrenhammer, and this is a composition that can be aggressive and be very aggressive. Again, the thing that Flashpoint didn't have was how to get onto the high ground without obscene control. Ehrenhammer have 3 champions that can just kind of chill out on the high ground. They can stop you from having your high ground. Eevee can blink up there, Maeve can jump up there, Drogos can fly out there. Everybody who you need to be up there and maybe cause a distraction and cause a little bit of trouble is going to be able to. And it's not working immediately, but I have a strong feeling the next time around, once they regroup, come back in, it's going to be some pressure on Flashpoint.
Ehrenhammer actually being forced to back off of the payload just a little bit. They did end up losing I think about 2 of their teammates, so they do want to make sure they can regroup before they just immediately go back to the point. Now, you brought up an interesting point about how Eevee, Drogos, Maeve, all of them can reach high ground, and I feel like Drogos is really strong here, especially if they're holding high ground, because there's a lot of small rooms for him to hit those salvos and fire spits, so they have to be extremely careful. Flashpoint, I mean, have to be extremely careful with where their positioning is in this scenario. The Eevee's already blinking in on top of Prosper. They want to do what they can. Ice Storm does go down. Ice Block to try and give her team some time to at least get up there, or at least allow the Maeve to do so, but both of them end up going down a little bit too aggressive on their part. Drogos is going to have to fly a little bit away. Hook misses, but he's actually going to have to end up retreating.
It's the same story as, well, what was started from literally when he was picked to now, where it's just there's so much hit scan on the other side and just 2 champions that are going to track you down. What are you going to do? How are you going to save them? Like, that's the biggest problem for Drogos in this matchup, and the biggest problem with first picking him is just they know almost immediately, okay, that makes our lives easy. We'll go Victor, who is, I would say, one of the, if not #1 pick on console. And then we'll grab Leon. Yeah, we can't get Talus, we can't get Vivian, but she's the anti-flank, and she's good for anti-air. Like, it's just a double down on a really good strategy. It's just 2 champions that counter it out. And I think as long as they are trying to play the way they are, like, they have to change it up, I guess, is the best way to word it, for Ehrenhammer to win a fight against them. They can't just keep doing the same thing.
Ehrenhammer hasn't really even been able to push it past this bridge. Just the high ground control from Flashpoint. That's a lot. They heard the Eevee back there. They know she's back there. The hook being so unfortunate. They knew exactly where she was at that point in time. They do get it. They do net the kill for themselves, and they are forcing Barrick and the rest of them to pretty much back off a point. Maeve dashes in the contest, dashes back out just to stall a little bit more, but Barrick has no health. Not enough for him to even try to contest that point, and I don't think anybody else is going to be able to touch.
It's going to be another defense. And much like the first one we saw, Flashpoint this time defending, keep all 5 ults. They don't have any stress to use anything. But the damage numbers going to be on the side of Ehrenhammer, which is incredible considering how often we see Victor normally just take the reins and go so above and beyond. Like 13 minutes, there should be 130,000 damage on the Victor, right? Like it's just the way he works, it seems to be every Monday is that he just skyrockets this. So kind of surprising to see him slowed down a little bit, but I mean, it's not slowing down the slash line. He's still 9-4 and 10. Skippy's still having a great game, and still with the barrage has a lot of control. That makes it, I think, a little bit more difficult for IT here to just maintain the presence as the single point tank for Ehrenhammer.
There's so many people on Flashpoint's team. They're 3rd, they're even 4th item. So many cauterized 3s, cauterized 2, morale booster, just like resilience. There's so much they have in store. While meanwhile, Ehrenhammer has a lot of cauterized 3s. Seismic Crash actually ends up coming through. I don't know if it actually netted a stun, but the damage going on to Furia is a little bit too much. Now their healer is down. It's going to mean a lot for Ehrenhammer to at least try to do anything, something to give themselves a chance at life here.
I mean, they're just trying to look for a touchdown now. They just want to be able to get overtime. That's going to be the first and foremost thing. They have Barrack, they have Drogos, they have a Dragon Punch, but they've only burned 2 ults from Flashpoint. Like it's just one of those, you have a bunch of positives, and they come with a lot of negatives. They're going to run in, drop the Dome Shield.
The Dome Shield does go through as well as Midnight. The rest of them are trying their best to do what they can. Man, the Dragon Punch came through, and it actually gets the kill onto Anara. Eevee getting the kill on the Grover as well. Good lad finding the kill onto the Drogos, though. They do trade 2 for 1, which is good in Ehrenhammer's favor. I don't know if that's going to be enough to stop him, especially now that Drogos, I believe, was down. It's going to be really hard for them to stop this Makoa because he's going to Ancient Rage. That's where he's about to die. And Barrack and the rest of them are going to be forced off of the point. This rush down from Makoa is going to be so strong, so good for just Flashpoint in general.
Good lad just read the situation perfectly, played it perfectly, got a hook, got his reset button, got the damage, got the kills.
Yeah, I mean, in what situation could you see yourself winning that when you first picked Drogos? Not to just like completely like just say that it was a bad choice, but it was like.
But it was a bad choice.
Okay, well, yeah, all right.
Well, it's just one of those things. Like if you first, no matter what, whatever you first pick has to be mind blowing. It has to be really good. Victor in that game did really well. Drogos in that game did the best he could in that scenario, but you have to pick someone that isn't going to have as many strong counters against it. And Drogos is just one of those champions that if he's uncontested, he is the best in the game. Yeah. But if you give him the chance to contest you, it's none.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is at this point. The first game does go to Flashpoint, just taking a look at all the stats and everything here. Now, Drogos did a lot of damage, but the thing was that he wasn't really finding what he needed. I feel like most of that is from the Dragon Punches that he threw out on those high health targets.
Well, and it's also this translation. Drogos can get a lot of punch, a lot of splash damage because of just how his kit works. And then when you see how that translates over to his slash line and you see all the kills that they managed to get, like that's where the difference really breaks. And you look at it, 6 kills, that's not bad. And he was on a 6, I think a 6 streak was his highest as well, but it's just, you see 100k damage and you expect to see that 13, 7, and 12 that's on Prosper on the Drogos instead. You see, I think the 95k there for Ernest, and he's 5 and 9. It's just, they had the poke, they didn't have the complete cut down, I guess, for the kills. I don't know the word. Conversion for the kills. They just had a little bit of splash.
Right. The Dragon Punches were pretty much used to try and at least get some momentum started for Ehrenhammer in that situation, instead of it actually being saved up and used as a counter for like the Ancient Rage like it was that we mentioned, or just stopping the Anar, or stopping any point contention that they might have on that side. So him actually using a lot of those, I feel like put a damper on a little bit of his capability in this match.
Yeah, and definitely didn't help in those scenarios, especially when they're scrambling to just retake the point, where it's just like, you got to use it now because they're at 99%. Like, if you don't use it, you lose it.
All right, exactly. Well, first game in the books for Flashpoint. We're going to get right into game 2 right after this break.
iNap, powering the control room for the Paladins console league.
Well, that's a close one, but Flashpoint remain on top in game number 1. Serpent Beach, I mean, it's a close score line, but the tried and true number 1 seed in this region reigns supreme in game number 1. Kresnik, I mean, you see blinks of maybe why Ehrenhammer's 2-0 with only dropping 1 map up to this point so far in this split, but a little bit more consistently, a little bit more offensive pressure from Flashpoint, and they take the day.
Yeah, I just think the draft was too hard for Ehrenhammer to execute.
True.
I mean, the fact that they were able to get the points that they did with that composition, I think some of their takes were good, where they were pressuring from upper, but at the end of the day, they just defensive pressure from Flashpoint was just overwhelming.
It was an interesting triple DPS to pick into a Victor Leon on the opposite side. For Serpent Beach, at least, which of course was map number 1. Map number 2 hangs in the balance. In Jaguar Falls, it is. And you know, we kind of looked at what Flashpoint were drafting. They went Victor, Makoa, Leon, and that is to be expected, I think, when you're playing against Flashpoint. If those 3 champions are ready and available for them to pick, they are going to pick those 3 champions. So not surprising at all. We'll have to see if Ehrenhammer maybe adjust around that. I mean, I imagine bans will be somewhat similar. Genos, notably, Talus taken off the board a lot of the time, Tyra. But honestly, if Flashpoint are given the same 5 champions to work around, I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I'm almost positive for that. Flashpoint banning Drogoz this time, I guess they just don't want to have to deal with that again, even though I felt like it wasn't doing a ton. I mean, he had some like good spits to kind of cleave, had some decent long-range pressure, but I felt like he still got pretty hard countered. But that actually was Ehrenhammer's pick too.
True.
So they went in with a strategy, and Jag will probably break that up because this map is pretty different. So Flashpoint actually picking Tyra over Victor makes sense because of this map. It's kind of close range. You can zone a lot with the firebomb, and marking somebody when there's so many corners is very nice.
Looks like Ehrenhammer are going to opt for the Makoa. I mean, now Flashpoint are in an interesting spot. That's the word I'm looking for. Because if Ehrenhammer end up going Victor, which it looks like they are going to, they'll still have the Leon, which Prosper played very well in game number 1. Pairs well with the Tyra if they want to go that route. Vivian's still around as well. Honestly, maybe that's why Tyra's banned out so much, because she offers so much versatility in what you can then pick afterwards. Grover, of course, a good pick here for Jag Falls.
Yeah, being able to heal through walls on this map when it's so many little baby rooms is so nice. And yeah, Vivian, as we mentioned, I mean, Tyra makes you do more damage. Vivian does a lot of damage. You do the math. It's very good.
Yeah, it's a lot of math. I mean, it's a 70-round magazine.
Usually more than that,
because
people are running that. A lot of the time, people are running that card where when you hit shots, it gives you some ammo refund. So that's good, but no amount of damage will go through Terminus's Siphon. Ehrenhammer picking that up to play that main tank role, and this is a map that I think it's okay. Because you're usually getting shot from 1 or 2 angles most of the time. You're not getting like completely surrounded, so you can lock those down with his Siphon. It's just Ehrenhammer has to act before that Siphon runs out.
And Flashpoint have plenty of damage to try to deal with the Makoa Terminus that are on the opposite side, especially with the Khan as well, the hunting party marks. He already bullies out a lot of the off-tank frontliners. It's going to have an interesting matchup with Makoa, but just a lot of damage is kind of the culmination, I think, of what Flashpoint have drafted here, but some good staying power, good consistent damage from the Victor for Ehrenhammer on the opposite side.
I think the Inara Khan is a pretty good comp with the Grover, because the Grover's healing is good, but not phenomenal. Khan kind of offsets that a little bit. He brings a little bit bonus healing. I want the Khan to pull out Vortex Grip. I think that's how they counter this Terminus. If they want to just get him out of the game immediately, Vortex Grip, immediately focus him down. I think this is going to be good for Flashpoint.
A little Bomb King to round it out for Ehrenhammer. They were able to get a few points off of Flashpoint in the last game, but still no wins. Flashpoint looking to make it 2-0 here on Jaguar Falls. It's going to be fun. Casters, take it away.
Thank you guys from the desk. Really appreciate that. Game 2, Jaguar Falls, just as they were saying. Now, I'm actually a little bit interested in seeing this Bomb King put in work on Jaguar Falls. You don't normally see him as much anymore.
Yeah, and this is honestly one of the maps where he works the best as well. And
that's what I was thinking.
I know it wasn't Ehrenhammer last week that we saw playing it, but we have had some really substantially good Bomb Kings in the console scene. And Ernest is one of those players that comes to mind when I think of players I've seen not only on Blaster, but who have made like a prominent note on a Bomb King in the past. So I'm excited to see what he can do with it. And I think it's going to be good to maybe deal with this con a little bit. The Vortex Grip is definitely going to be, I think, something to overcome as Ehrenhammer.
Right.
But you've got a pretty decent amount of control just in Bomb King, even if you ignore the other 4 champions.
Right, nothing different in terms of talents yet. Two of them do go directly to where the point is. Khan and I believe that was the Victor on the left side, but the Bomb King's the first to go down. First blood for Flashpoint. 18% on the point already, steadily climbing. The rest of Ehrenhammer is going to have to be forced to back off.
Prosper on the Tyra already being able to poke it down. And like Kresnik said, you can't do any amount of damage that will break through the power siphon.
Right.
You can just wait for it to go down, and then all of a sudden it's a lot easier. Or, depending on this, maybe later, even when he has the crossfire. It sucks to give him charges, but sometimes you just don't have to stop shooting at it.
Right, exactly. Here we go. Terminus has to make his way back to the point, and there we go with the stun. Just as Kresnik was saying, the Vortex Grip is being brought out here. Fada does find the kill onto the Grover, but they do find the kill onto Anar as well, with Skeppy being the first one to take a kill for him in this mid-fight. But the rest of them are going down on Flashpoint's side, with Goodlad being one of the only ones remaining, along with the Tyra. They're going to be forced to back off if they don't get killed in this very short
I love
exchange.
the fight that Goodlad is putting up. Like that is not a place that you should ever really be trying to solo fight. And like you could see him recognize the moment when he's like, wait a minute, I should not be in here. But he stays alive through all of that, keeps his team set up, and now with the crossfire, they're set to be able to retake.
Here we go with the barrage into the Vivian's behind him, but he kills him just before he ends up dying. Nice job from Skeppy. He's going to look at this flank using the emote to make sure he can look around corners using that third person as advantage. There's the Furia right there, just manages to back up right into his line of sight. He does have to shoot as much as possible to try and get this Makoa. He does find it. 2 kills. Skeppy has managed to turn this fight around for his team in his very last few seconds of this point capture.
I mean, that was just so well done. Not only being able to live so narrowly through the barrage from Victor, but staying out of combat just enough, gets hooked, but then he recognizes, hey, my shield covers enough of me that it's like you're not going to be able to end this. And that's one of those moments where as Makoa, like, the best thing you can do for Vivian is shoot her toes, and it's just so difficult to make that call in that kind of moment when it's like, if I want to kill her, I have to look down, but there's also 3 other sources of damage that's coming at me from the point. Like, it's just unfortunate, I think, for Ehrenhammer, because it was really well played. Flashpoint just played it a little better.
Exactly. Here we go with the Commander's Grab to try and go in with Khan to see if he can get a stun on anything, but misses it just narrowly. Bomb King is looking really, really low. 141 health left on him. Being forced to back off. Skeppy doing a lot of damage on this Vivian, which is what you'd expect when she's able to hold a line of sight pretty consistently. She's able to get a lot of damage onto individual targets, and also just a group of them in general with that ultimate, forcing them to back up. She's been holding this flank for a while. Seismic Crash comes through, finds a stun onto Terminus. That's going to be a kill for them. Barrage to try and get things started on Ehrenhammer's side, but I don't think it's going to be enough for the rest of Flashpoint to really be shaken by that.
Yeah, honestly, a really low impact barrage. Does get some good damage onto Op B, and when he gets aggressive right afterward, already used his damage reduction, so didn't have that to kind of keep himself alive, so he drops. But it didn't really stop the rest of the team. Now they still have like left side control, cliff side control, but there's no pushing power. They really need the Anar, I think, to kind of tie this all together. You have the kill potential, and if someone just slips up right here, and, well, not like that, that hook's going to be really, really solid to keep things going. But I was thinking if Ehrenhammer get maybe a little too aggressive, just 1 step too far out of position, it becomes a lot easier of a game for Flashpoint.
Overpower was missed by the Khan. 2 ultimates online, Crossfire and Whirlwind, respectively. Ehrenhammer having at least 4 ultimates, almost 5. The barrage is almost back up. These Bomb King bombs are doing a lot for them, holding this flank right now. Damage on the Skeppy shield is going to force him to back up because he's just eating too much damage in that scenario. Once it was down, the ultimate does come through, so now he's going to start holding some of these positions, these clear line of sights that he's going to be having this entire time to try and force them back.
I really love this angle Goodlad and Skeppy are hanging out on. This is just one of the few boxes that once you control it, you really do maintain control of how this payload can go. Unfortunately, it looks like they're losing a little bit of the pressure on the side. They do get the kill onto the Bomb King, and that honestly might make this a little bit more of a slippery slope for Ehrenhammer.
Yeah, Victor forced to pretty much back off around the corner towards the spawn if he needs to retreat into a safe space. And Terminus just gets picked off almost instantly. As soon as they see him, they just rain fire down on him. Makoa goes down next, and that's going to net Flashpoint, the 2nd point on Jaguar Falls.
This is the reason, in one of these areas, we always talk about supports when it comes down to CC ults, right? We say, man, they already have 3. Like, you want a Furia here because like you don't want a CC, or you want a Genos here because you don't want your ult to have CC, because it makes resilience too worthwhile. Here, your 2 sources of CC are Vortex Grip, and you're going to have the Seismic Crash, right? That's really it coming down from them. I guess technically you also have the Slow from Inara, so it's the 2 champions, the 2 tanks that are going to be doing a whole lot. And you have to wonder, I mean, if you're Aaron Manor, like, is it worth getting resilience? And you can see one person has opted in for it. Terminus, who I think has been kind of bullied by it the most, makes sense, but it's so worthwhile. Like, you almost need it, but even still, it doesn't feel like it impacts the game enough. Like, once you get Vortex Gripped, as long as Flashpoint are on point, you can have that stun be as little as possible. You're already displaced for enough.
Yeah, a lot of damage going on to Skeppy. He went around a little, I believe, a little bit too far back there. Ended up getting picked off. Prosper Logic being in a bad spot as well. Clear line of sight for the rest of Aaron Manor to take advantage of it. They do indeed take advantage of it. He goes down next. Anara being forced off of the point, just a little bit wall to keep herself alive, as well as in a safe spot. But the rest of them are already just rushing them down. Too heavy for Flashpoint to be able to try and make a comeback this mid-fight.
With Makoa actually staying alive right there. Like, didn't have to use the Ancient Rage. That's incredible, first off, that he was able to hold on to it. Also kind of crazy to me. I mean, I know someone had to flex onto the triple DPS, but seeing someone go from Jogos to Makoa is kind of mind-boggling. Either way, it's going to be good for them. Comeback mechanic has them at 97% already.
Yeah, it's going to mean a lot. Overpower missed again, unfortunately, on Good Lad's side. The Crossfire comes through, trying to get some damage onto Makoa. They do kill him, forcing the rest of Aaron Manor back. And this might be where Flashpoint is pretty much thriving. In this very aggressive forward momentum, like they have the momentum situation that they're in right now, they normally can close it out pretty well on these mid fights right now. Overtime is going down. Aaron Manor don't really have a way in.
And they always get an advantage here. Like, even though Ernest is admittedly going to have probably one of the best setups for his ult right here, as well as potential best setups to just get things done on this side of the map as Bomb King, you're scrambling into the point.
Yeah, it's very true. The Bomb King's actually going to move directly to the point as well. Actually, I'm a little bit curious as to why he didn't try and go for the kill onto the Tyra, and I'm assuming that's why, is because Flashpoint, I guess, had I guess they just had momentum of that fight. There were a lot of people on point on Aaron Manor's side, though. I'm not sure exactly what happened in that scenario.
Honestly, in my eyes, and I don't know what the comms were like when it came down to it, but he was going for what looked like Vivian.
Right.
And the minute Vivian died, it was that, who do I go for now? Tyro's the next one. I think there's not enough comms from the team saying that Vivian's going to die. When he is ulting there, you should go to the point. That's where the pressure needs to be applied. You need to get rid of the tanks. It's not really the DPS to me. And so I think because Vivian died, if Vivian was full health there and he gets around the corner and kills her, then absolutely that's worthwhile. But because you went in, kind of hit the Tyra and then abandon everything to go back into the fight, it would have been better just to have all of that damage in the fight.
Makes a lot of sense. The overpower missed again, man. Good Lad's not having a good time really hitting these ultimates. These overpowers are just falling flat. Skeppy in a good spot, same spot as we always seen him in, because it's a good spot for Vivian to hold. She has a lot of line of sight in that situation. He doesn't have the battle shout, though. Not going to be enough to keep himself alive, but he's actually just holding on very rarely. I see the Terminus trying to go around to kill him, but Whirlwind comes through to actually not only keep him alive, but just the rest of Flashpoint just rejuvenated in this fight. And this is just looking really well for them. There's
going to be the CC immunity on the Nara as well, just going to ignore the King Bomb almost entirely. Skeppy's kind of locked down in the corner, and this should be a kill for Ernest, but you have to do a little more. You have to get more aggressive. He's going to be able to find it, but they're losing so much in the process.
Yeah, that is the first overpower hit, and it was a good time to hit as well, especially with the game-ending triple kill for the Khan. Good Lad finally hitting the overpower, but it doesn't matter how many you miss, as long as you hit it when it matters.
Yeah.
That's what's
literally the only one in the game that needed to hit. Was that one, and he nailed it.
Yeah, he did indeed. He did a really good job with just his positioning in general. Him and Skeppy pretty much held those flanks really hard. Skeppy more so than him, because he just ended up just having clear line of sight.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know. There's so much that could have gone right for Aaron Manor there.
Right,
exactly. And I feel like I saw, there's those moments when you can see they have the knowledge, they have the play, and it's just when you make the wrong call sometimes, right? Sometimes you turn left, you should have turned right, and that's how a lot of these moments are. And Flashpoint, unfortunately for Aaron Manor, is one of those teams that if you go left and left is the bad choice, they are going to punish you more than anybody else because of it. So it just kind of hurt them a little more, I think, than they were expecting.
Skeppy having a lot of damage onto just the rest of Aaron Manor as general. He just had these clear line of sight. 12-4-3, really good game for him. Hunting Party being run on Tyra as well. That's just going to amp the damage that Skeppy can do up as well. I mean, Fade and the rest of them. Now we're seeing a trend here. Aaron Manor has good damage.
Yeah.
Not necessarily as good slash lines, but this time they didn't do bad. The Bomb King, the Victor, did pretty well.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is very much just converting it, right?
Right, exactly.
Your tanks are dying a lot, 0-5, 1-8, and you have a lot of moments where Skeppy is doing this. And
Right.
when he gets out of this, I mean, he was at, what, 200 health? No one turned to collapse on him. There's no one looking for him right now. You have 4 other members. The call, like, it's a comms thing, right?
Right.
Is he a priority? And if he is, why is no one going for him?
Right.
And if he's not, why is he not? He just came
Right,
around
yeah.
and killed you, and he's in a great position. Like, it's just,
Right.
I think the fight from Ehrenhammer, the mechanics are there. It's just figuring out the teamwork and the flow of how to pick apart a team like Flashpoint. And that, honestly, is a challenge in and of itself. Picking apart the rest of Europe is probably their main goal right now, and based on the fact that they were 2-0 coming into this week, they've done that. Now Flashpoint is just a different piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit difficult for them to actually just try and fight. They did what it was that they could onto that point fight, onto a couple mid fights that they tried to recap, or at least just take to try and get something started. But unfortunately, Game 2 just wasn't for them. Maybe Game 3 is. Find out after this break.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Console League.
Well, if you blinked, you missed it. Flashpoint with a 4-0 convincing 4-0 as opposed to an unconvincing 4-0 on Jaguar Falls. They wiped the floor with Ehrenhammer and now are just one game away from closing out your first set of the day. Very fun match to watch, Kresnik, but that one was kind of over, I think, the moment it started. The Vivian, Tyra, Khan kind of damage clump was just way too much.
I mean, when you see all those hit scans confirming all that damage on stunned targets because of the Vortex script, I mean, it's a lot of pressure to deal with on a map where you can't really get onto the backline.
Right, and you know, Ehrenhammer hung in there, but I think this is sort of more of the Flashpoint you expect to see. Very cool, calm, calculated, top to bottom. They'll look to seal it out in map number 3 when this thing rounds out. And 4-0 on Jaguar Falls is exactly what you hope for. Splitstone Quarry, though, a little potential, I should say, for a slower game.
Yeah, it's a map that can go 2-2-3-3. It is somewhat easy to defend, but if you have that verticality, you can come over the sides. You can find some burst damage. You can get those kills. It's not necessarily like guaranteed like Ice would be in most of the times. Ehrenhammer starting with a Leon ban. They're gonna first pick Drogos again with a ban like that. I mean, I mean,
Talus doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Yeah, but I mean, is it really Leon? I mean, you're gonna then go up against a Victor, Tyra, Victor, Vivian, something along. I mean, I'm not any more excited to be going up against that duo instead of Leon, I guess. So we'll have to see. Eevee banned out by Flashpoint. Atlas first pick here for Ehrenhammer, so not going the high-flying Drogos this time around. Flashpoint free and clear to pick their Victor if they want.
And
it's
they're
going to be
Genos with Victor too, so that's going to be an outrageous amount of damage. Burst mode is like at a perfect range on this map, but looks like they're electing to go Tyra instead for quarry control. They're going to play on that right side. Fireball makes it really hard to contest any tank that's fighting in that quarry.
Yeah. I think it makes sense to me, honestly. They go Genos Tyra. At the same time, though, you're giving up a pretty good bit in the sense that you're giving up Atlas, you're giving up Makoa. It's kind of we're going to give up a lot of damage to the opposite side in exchange for a lot of frontline control, a lot of point control on our team. And Victor as well. Ehrenhammer actually have a very good draft starting to build out here.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Flashpoint ending the same way they ended the Jaguar draft with a Tyra Vivian, especially since this, to me, for Ehrenhammer, looks like they might end triple tank.
Yeah.
I mean, Makoa Atlas plus any other tank is going to be absolutely lethal. So if they get this and then maybe confirm with a more squishy burning tank like an Ashe, or if they go a point tank with a solid healer, they could end with triple tank, and that could be good at fighting the quarry, getting through that firebomb. But firebomb does % health damage, so no matter how tanky you are, it's going to melt you all the same.
I'm still, I don't know, I'm just very nervous. All I picture is, I'm Ehrenhammer right now. I see Vivian get picked, and all I can imagine in my head is a Vivian with sentinels up, sitting up on the high ground with hunting party Genos Mark just ripping through everyone on my team. That's all I can expect. Strix, though,
they have the 1,000-yard stare, just thinking about that Vivian.
That's right, they're just staring deep into our souls. Strix on the opposite side, though, maybe be able to deal with Vivian a little bit. Grover for some of that good AoE healing around the rest of the team here.
They have a kind of a mixed composition. I mean, Ehrenhammer's like all poke, more or less. They have 3 poking backlines, but 3 counting the Grover.
Yeah,
and then they have 2 tanks that want to get in your face. Atlas can kind of play that mid-range with the charged shots, but he does really want to get onto you. And Sky picked for Flashpoint, a solid counter to Makoa, one that we've seen in the past. Just the ability to melt that really quickly. And triple DPS also coming out for them. And this is one of the best maps for it.
You think they seal it up here with their draft?
I think they do.
Well, I think you're a safe bet if you're going to bet on Flashpoint to seal it up here. Game 3, Splitstone Quarry. Let's get it underway.
Yes, let us begin the games. I see that they actually managed to lock the Strix. They don't decide to go for the Kinessa. Now, I'm a little bit curious as to why that is. Most of the time when they lock snipers, you normally see these long-range sniper fights. Yeah,
I think it comes down actually to a lot of what Kresnik mentioned at the very, very end, where it's just they have 3 technically poking backlines. Like, if Grover's going to be there, Grover's probably going to be playing more towards bleachers or stairs or whatever you want to call them. Bleach is my favorite name for it. But he's going to be playing with the tanks. But when you add an Atlas, that's going to be some long-range big damage. You're going to have Strix, you're going to have Victor. Grover can hit from a long way away. If you're really good at Makoa, he can hit from a long way away as well. So Kinessa's fighting 4, 5 people, right?
Right.
Sky is fighting whoever she wants. Yeah, and that's, I think, where the goal is going to be. She's going to sneak up on this guy easily.
Yeah, Strix, not annoying. He actually heard the horse, though. He actually does turn around just in time. The question is, will he be able to live? He tries his best, make sure he can actually get a kill or get some damage onto her. Does find it. It's not going to be enough. Now she's going for Makoa next in her sights. She's like 1v4 right now, actually. Like, the rest of them are all right there, but she doesn't care. She's going in to get some damage.
You know, we always mention, I think, percentage damage on Sky because it's really good against tanks. It's still good against everybody else. Percentage damage, still a percentage of your health bar that is almost guaranteed to go down. And when you're looking at moments like this, it's really good for burning down. Atlas really good for burning down Makoa. Unfortunately, since you do have second chance, you're going to have to burn down Atlas twice. But as long as you get it within the right cooldown, it shouldn't be a big issue.
Yeah, I mean, 93% on the point for them already for Flashpoint. Ehrenhammer just getting their first few percentages onto there, trying to get something started. They do find a kill on the Prosper, which that's going to be pretty big, and it's just exactly what you were mentioning just happened. The rewind was there. Atlas was super low, but thanks to the rewind, he was able to keep himself alive. Skeppy finding the kill onto Strix, though. It's going to be really, really hard for the rest of them to actually just, I mean, fight, but goodness gracious, Skeppy all the way in the back line.
Yeah, Skeppy being that aggressive is good for Flashpoint, but bad news for Ehrenhammer. Just because it shows how much control they have over the map, right? Sky being back there, that's where she belongs. That's fine. Tyra being back there, it's a little bit more toe in the line. Once Vivian gets back there, you're like, okay, now you're going in deep. And I really like the way Flashpoint, again, with the triple DPS and the double damage amp, the percentage damage, like, this is a composition that is built to just stumble Ehrenhammer, even though, hands down in my eyes, Ehrenhammer have the stronger picks. It's just individually, they're strong, right? Together, they're strong because all 5 of them are strong, but Flashpoint as a unit burned down Ehrenhammer.
Yeah, I mean, they do find 2 kills for themselves. Ehrenhammer managing to get the Sky and the Genos healer gone as well as their flank, which that's going to be good for them to get stuff started. But at the same time, though, like you mentioned, a great point, the control right now, Skeppy, Prosper Logic, all of them doing a little bit of flanking on their own, forcing back the rest of the members that are alive on Ehrenhammer's side, just back. They get the kill on Makoa, staggering him, and that's going to be a lot in the favor of Flashpoint.
I mean, it's just looking back at what you started that fight with, right? They got rid of the support first. They get rid of that damage amp from the Luminary immediately. They get rid of Sky as well, and she's probably going to be the biggest threat to the Makoa and the Atlas. Everybody else still died on Ehrenhammer. Like, you left 3 alive, and that's all they needed. And even there, the snipe not going to... Or actually, Ez is going to be able to get a little bit of damage there onto King Nick. But, like, you're just looking at Flashpoint understanding this game and kind of breaking you down in the process.
Yeah, I mean, the Flare does hit Barrick, forcing him to gain a little bit of damage over time. Doesn't kill him, but they do find the kill onto Makoa. I mean, the whirlwind, man. Like, it did come through to try and heal people, but it just wasn't enough. Look at how far back they still are. Grover did go down, had to use the Vine Grip to get himself back up to high ground, but, I mean, they're just... Flashpoint's just on it right now in this last game. What could potentially be the last game, I should say.
Still no time bomb used. Like, they held on to that. Most of their ults, I believe, are going to be available coming into Flashpoint. And I want to believe Skeppy won't have these Sentinels. Right. But I didn't see him towards the end, so you never know. He does still have them up, and he's at 61%. The thing about Vivian Sentinels is that they do recharge while they are out. It's the only ult in the game that does that. And so you're looking at the potential. If he keeps going, the minute they die, he just pops his ult again, and then he has it. And you're also looking at Good Lad. Actually, not having the most insane slash line, but I expect we might start to see that shift a little bit as time goes down. But there's the counter. You can see it.
All the illuminates.
All the illuminates.
Yeah, they do that just to make sure they can see the sky.
That sky.
Right, yes, just to make sure, specifically for her, if there's ever a time where you are wondering if, are they going to be able to deal with the sky? You already see all of them have bought Illuminate second. Some of them still even on Cauterize 1, I believe. Just so much priority on her. She's being really, really annoying. You see the Makoa and the Victor just on the flank, trying to get some damage onto the backline, trying to see if anybody's there. Don't really find anybody, though. The Exile has to go through, but it's not enough to keep Atlas alive.
See, the thing that's funny about this to me is that we've seen the switch that Good Lad needs to make, right? When Illuminate is bought that much, although right there you're going to see exactly why it's useful, does help get that hook. You just play from mid-range. You just don't get aggressive into it. You dance around the issue, I guess, the best way you can. Because it still hits scan damage, and like as long as you can get those poison bolts on line, on track, I guess, with where you need to be, you can do most of what you need to from a distance.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the Sentinels are there still. The ultimate is already recharged, as we mentioned it before. Just as she dies, as soon as she comes back up, she's going to have Sentinels again ready to go, still in the same spot as before. 87% onto the point for Flashpoint, and they are in control right now. Ehrenhammer with the first kill onto the Vivian. That's going to be the start of something through time and space. Doesn't find anybody.
Looking for some kills, and they will be able to find some, not off of through time and space, but through just the pressure they have. That's going to be 3. Good Lad. Again, just getting Illuminate isn't going to be enough. You need some coordination to stop the sky.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of pressure. You already see just him. Like, you just see Good Lad. You see the Sky. You see the Barry, the Vivian, the Tire, just all of them. They're like, okay, well, we got about 1 or 2 of them down. Let's make sure that they just don't have a chance to come back. So let's push them all the way back into their spawn. And now this is looking pretty similar to what we just saw last round.
And it's, I mean, the same scenario, right? They actually still have the time bomb or have recharged it there for Flashpoint. And that's one of those, again, just space openers. If you get caught on a choke point, just throw it out, much like this, and then all of a sudden you either get a kill or you get a lot of damage, or you force them into a bad position or somewhere where you can capitalize on it. Either way, you're going to be happy with it, and as such, they just keep on moving.
Yeah, the Divider comes through to try and at least block some of the damage they might be taking from the Tyra, but he does get the kill onto both Victor. Victor gets the kill onto both Tyra and Sky as well. Just well-placed shots, manages to catch the both of them. But I don't know if it's going to be enough because a minute 40 still on the clock, and Vivian's still there applying all this damage, all of this pressure. Look at how far up she is, regardless of where the rest of her team is. She did not back off. She got the kill on the Strix, and she is just applying pressure. Flashpoint with such momentum right now.
I mean, this angle, pretty much perfect for Good Lad, right? Everyone either has to look at him, look at the payload. No matter what, you're in a win-win scenario because you're either pulling eyes away from your team or you are setting them up for success and push. Unfortunately, it's going to be a couple of falls right there, and they're still staying alive. Op B's still staying aggressive, but it might be too much. They still have a minute left, but that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, true. 4 ultimates are online. The 5th one building up. Ancient Rage almost there. Skeppy is holding a little bit of the side rooms right here, a little bit of the flanks, making sure that nothing crazy is going on right now. Especially you don't really want to fight a Vivian that's already firing. She doesn't have very clear line of sight without her being in danger of getting shot. So the rest of them are going to try and buy their time and find a way back to the payload before they end up dying.
Just trying to figure out how to come around the last corner. They have through time and space, which has been a great opener, but really I'm looking at the Dome Shield that's about to come up. Sentinels are about to be recharged. Like, they're going to have a lot more damage ready in just a couple of seconds here for Flashpoint.
Yeah, I mean, through time and space goes through, doesn't find anybody at all, not even any damage. It ends up missing, but the pressure that it exudes is there. This is going to force them to back off. The Sentinels go up as well. Barrage comes through to manage to find the kill onto Vivian. That's really, really good. They do find that kill, but with Prosper already with 2 kills, the time bomb coming out as well, no one really can get to the point in time.
That's, again, the best thing about Sky when it came down to it was the fact that you either have to look at the payload that's over here, you have to look at the Sky that's over here. Which one's the priority? There were 2 people that were chasing down Sky, and I think, well, 3 were looking at the payload, 1 up and above, and 2 dead on the payload.
Right, exactly. I mean, like, that Sky Bomb also forcing so many of them to just move out of the way. If they were on the payload, she just tosses it out, just wait. She's like, all right, well, if somebody's going to move, then I just kill whoever moves out of the way. So, I mean, that's just the pressure that she has when you pick her in the right spot as well.
And again, that was just a good draft, I think, from Flashpoint. I think Ehrenhammer if I had to take one of these teams to go into a draft with, I like Ehrenhammer's picks.
Yeah.
I think, hands down, from top to bottom, they're stronger individually. I think what you see out of Flashpoint is damage amp, a very prominent hit scan, a very, very good counter to what Ehrenhammer have, and then a really solid point tank. Like, they'd have 5 pieces that once you put them all together, they just form this an unstoppable beast.
Right, Storm Avatar 0, 1, and 12. Skeppy 10 and 4. Prosper Logic 5 and 3. Like everyone, good slash lines on Flashpoint side. Ehrenhammer still struggling a little bit. A 3-0, very convincing 3-0 from Flashpoint, but that doesn't mean that they're just completely out of it. But one player, I was thinking about Goodlight. I was thinking about the Sky, how much pressure that she exuded throughout that entire match on Splitstone.
And it's just, this is probably the start. This is why you force people into Illuminate, because he could have potentially gotten that first snipe off. And you're not looking at a ton of health here for Sky, right? One snipe, especially if it's a headshot, is going to be good for you. But you force the Illuminate, you force them to spend credits away from their Cauterize, away from their Wrecker, so it makes it a little more awkward for all of the team fight.
Right.
And you're really hoping that it pays off just to stop the Sky. The problem is that once you stop Sky, the Vivian steps up, and all of a sudden she's just knocking him out of the park.
Right. I mean, like, good point to make, too, because it's like Skeppy was in such a position where he just had clear line of sight. It's like, all right, well, we got rid of the Sky, but Skeppy's just, like, hitting you with, like, all these precise bullets. And Prosper Logic with the Hunting's Party, just so many marks, so much pressure that they're just been exuding. Ehrenhammer down 3-0. Doesn't mean that they're completely out of the PCL yet, but we'll be right back to the next game right after this break.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins Console League.